Hey, hey, Oregon Chicago Cycling Network. And man, as usual, we're going to just keep on pushing, guys. And I mean, I can't, thank you guys and just be grateful for everybody who has been supporting, subscribing, helping to spread the word. You guys have been amazing. We're almost approaching a year already of me doing all these interviews. And I think I've highlighted some amazing people. And I'm going to keep it going because people need to know that, hey, Chicago got some really, really dope people here. And they go way back. Some are new riders, some are, old riders, but they have seen the evolution of how Chicago has birthed this amazing culture of this cycles from all different backgrounds. As before, whether you do, your track race, you gravel, you crit, you do more endurance stuff, you ride around Lake Michigan in the Michigan Challenge, or you're around the near, or you want to go ride 3 states in one day. It's all here, guys. You want to do critical mass? Amazing. So we have all these different things here, and I'm like people, hey, Chicago, we got some dope stuff in the city. And today I'm here with my friend here, and I'm gonna call him the Taxman. You'll figure out that's his nickname for now, but you'll get to know about him and how he fits in. And I mean, he's been around for a long time, which I didn't even know until we rode together a couple times. But every time I think we rode together, it's always over 100 miles together. Think about that, right? But you guys will see, again, just the beautiful, leadership that he has on the rise. He's always like an amazing leader. I mean, from the last ride we saw, and one person was falling behind, and he stepped back, he gave them his food. I'm like, man, this guy is like one of the most altruistic person I've ever seen as a cyclist. He was helping this person, like falling back and giving away his stuff. I'm like, you're gonna need it later, man. Don't give it away. But he did. And it was great, and because that's the type of person he is, guys. And we have the Taxman in the network. I want to learn about him. So let's just get started because I'm excited. Okay, and let's just get the ball rolling. So introduce yourself and let us get the thing on the road.
Well, Omar, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I must say, I'm just a guy, really. But my name is Jared Rogers. I am a native of Chicago. Went away for a little bit. Went to Missouri. Went to school. Majored in accounting, finance. I run Wilson Rogers and Company, which is a finance company. So yes, tax, helping people with IRS issues and debt and stuff like that. Been cycling for forever. I'm a member of Triple X Racing Athletico. Been on the team since 2007, so hence the long time. But yeah, in terms of cycling, done just about everything, love everything. I rode as a bike messenger. I'm a USAC official, so I'm a moto. Montrose, unfortunately, we just got the word this morning that it's been canceled.
I saw
but yeah, I was supposed to be chief ref on that. So, USAC official, I'm out saying just general guy.
Yeah, that's more than general. That's beyond general to all the things he's involved with. We're gonna get into more detail about these things, okay? So you mentioned about your tax company. Like, could you go in more specifics? Like, who do you tailor with in your audience for your company, so people can know, hey, he's a taxman. So if you have a problem, hit him up.
Got it. So I give the 30-second commercial. What I usually tell people is like we deal. So it's Wilson Rogers and Company. We're out south. So yes, Southsider. We're out southwest, 6 blocks east of Evergreen Park. So we're right on 95th Street. But we deal with individual taxation, business taxation. So people who have businesses, all the back end work that goes, bookkeeping, payroll, all that type of stuff. And then, so I am a CPA. I'm licensed here in the state of Illinois, and that allows me to represent taxpayers before the IRS and the state if they ever have tax debt or tax balances that they cannot fully pay off. So like I got a case going on right now where someone owes $600,000. So it's just getting them into a situation or a resolution with the IRS.
Gotcha. So do you ever get like Wesley Snipes kind of level tax problems?
No. Well, so the thing is, like, tax is voluntary compliance. So basically the way you make sure everybody voluntarily complies is like you make an example out of somebody. So they're like, hey, guess what? If you want to stay in line, I'm saying, like, I'll make an example out of Jared or Wesley or Beyonce or somebody else. But generally speaking, I mean, and people fall into tax problems for numerous reasons. Some of it's health. Some of it is, I just had a bill. Some of it is, I had the money, I sold the crypto, and then I lost my job, or COVID, what I'm saying? Like, there's all types of things that happen. And my job is never to judge. It's just simply to provide a resolution or a solution to it. On the individual tax side, like I usually tell people, with the advent of AI and automation and things like that, like we don't do simple. So like if you got a W-2 or whatever, just go to a store or go to software and just do your taxes.
Jack or whatever.
Yeah, I usually try not to name competitors. You know?
I didn't say that.
But the basic thing is that, you know, if you have a straightforward situation, go ahead and do it. You know, there's options out there. We tend to deal with those that are a little bit more complex. So like, you know, Omar, I know he's a family man. He has children. He has, you know, a place that he lives. You got the things that come along with that, you know, so maybe some stock options or, you know, maybe, you know, college or things like that. Those are the things that we kind of like, you know, deal with, you know.
Gotcha. So you see, where exactly in Chicago did you say you're from here? Where you grew up, like down south, up north?
Yeah, so no, I grew up down south, lifelong, you know, South Sider. I grew up out, quote unquote, east, which doesn't really exist in Chicago unless you are from the east. So I grew up in South Shore. So right there on the lakefront.
By the golf course?
Yeah. So actually, like when you get to 71st and the golf course ends, so that's the South Shore Cultural Center or the country club. You know, you can go further south and you can take yourself out to, you know, Calumet Park and, you know, East Side and stuff like that. So I grew up on 73rd and South Shore. So right there, literally on the lake. It was
so that means you know where Kanye's West house is.
Yeah, I know where Kanye's house
so
is.
I think I've been learning a little bit about Chicago since I've been here. I've been here for a very long time. So the Obamas had their wedding at the South Shore Club, right? As I heard.
It's possible, and I mean, I do, even though I'm a Chicagoan, I don't proclaim to know everything. Like for even example, like, you know, like their house, like in Hyde Park, like I never knew exactly where it was until he became president, and it was like, oh, why are all these barricades like around this thing or whatever. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's quite possible that he had
because if you'd known about it, I was going to ask you if you got invited to the wedding. So
no, I'm gonna say unfortunately I did not get invited.
That's messed up.
It's okay. I'm gonna say we'll give Obama a pass on that one.
All right, you're good. So you say you went to school in Missouri. Where in Missouri did you go?
So Missouri has some of the most state-run schools. So literally, like in Illinois, you know, you have, you know, Illinois State, you have University of Illinois, you know, Northeast, you know, etc. Missouri has like a school named for every corner of the state. So it's like Southeast, Southwest, Central, you know, Northeast, North, you know, so this is literally like 17 schools. So I went to a school that was, when I started there, was called Northeast Missouri State, NEMO. But the first year that I was there, they switched their name in recognition of the only Missourian to become president, which is Truman. So I graduated from Truman State University, but it was entered into as Northeast Missouri State.
Guys, so you went there to find Nemo.
I went there. I was at Nemo. I found Nemo, and then Nemo changed on me to Truman.
Oh man, that's messed up. Come on, man. But I know you're here doing this amazing stuff that you're doing. So hey, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So then you came back to Chicago, and so since you've been here, how did you get into cycling? I mean, that's the big question.
Everybody's got a very unique story, I must say. And for most of us, we usually had a love for the bike, you know, when we were younger, you know, and maybe waxed and waned, you know, etc. So for me, it was always one of those things where it was like, you know, even back in the day, and yes, I'm dating myself, I'm 48. It was like, you know, oh, the tour's on. It's like, oh, wow. I'm going to say these people are like riding mountains. You know, one day I'm going to ride the tour. I had no clue like what it meant, what went behind the scenes. I was just like, I just want to ride my bike. So I was actually, in terms of like my racing type career or whatever, that was very, very late in life. But what ended up happening was my senior year in high school and the first 2 years in college, I rode as a bike messenger here in the city of Chicago. So I rode for the now defunct Chicago Messenger Service, or CMS. So I did that for summers, and you know, whenever I would come home, it was a great way to earn money. You know, hauling packages and things around, and then came back, started my working career, and you know, cycling is not, you know, I was an auditor, so I traveled a lot. So I couldn't physically be like in the same place a lot, you know, so cycling was kind of hard. But the short version of it is that probably around 2008-ish, or 2004, I was stationed back here. I got a job where I was back downtown, so I could actually commute to and from work.
Gotcha.
And with that, it was like, oh, I can commute to work. As a bike messenger, I always rode mountain bikes because I literally tear up my crap like all the time. And I needed a hard type of frame that I broke axles. I did all type of stupidness. But I was like, oh, well, maybe I should get a road bike. Well, if I'm gonna get a road bike, man, road bikes are expensive. If I'm gonna get a road bike, then I mean, I should do something with it. Hey, wait, there's like, what? There's these endurance. Wait, there's these clubs. Wait, there's these races. Literally, so 2007, in a period of like 3 months, I went from I'm going to commute to and from work this summer to like being at my first like team meeting, being like, hey, sign me up. I'm going to go race. So that's the shortest version of it.
And I can imagine that your fitness from being bike messenger and jumping fences and running away from the... No, I'm not.
I was carrying packages.
Yeah, but that also played into your endurance when it came to biking.
Yeah, I'm about to say, so the cool thing about it is that, and the world is much different now, than it was back in the mid 90s, late 90s. I mean, nowadays, like, bike messengers really aren't needed as much.
Right, because of the internet and all the
technology. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we were hauling around like architecture plans and, like legal documents and things like that need signatures. My craziest, experience is I remember the dispatcher called me and says, hey, I need you to call me at the thing. And I said, okay. I'm like, we usually do everything via the radio. And I was young. So me being young, I could be trusted. He said, hey, I got a pickup for you, whatever, you're going to go here, whatever. And then you're taking it up north. He goes, you're going to be in contact with me the whole time. I said, what am I carrying? And he was like, it's some checks and it's a lot of money. And you only to give it to the individual who answers the door. Wow. And I never knew how much I was hauling, but it was enough where they like, if you mess this up, you are fired.
And you're dead.
And I was right. And I was like, oh, okay. But back then, before power meters and computers and things like that, I used to be like on the lakefront, like riding home, because you would ride to work, ride home. I'm riding home, on a mountain bike or whatever. I'm like, I wonder if I can clock a mile in under 2 minutes or whatever. And you're just like, what is this? So, and with me being young, everything was a game to me. Of course, so it was like, how fast can I make it from like, North Avenue all the way into the Loop? And it's like, I don't know, so.
But when you have all that experience, and it again, we're gonna get into all that translate more into your cycle. So It just popped in my head. Where you went to college and being African American, did you ever pledge?
Yes. So I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha.
I knew it. This is why.
And this is nothing that I volunteered. So I don't know how he found it, or maybe he went somewhere. But
no. Let me tell you.
Okay.
I went to HBCU. Okay. Parkland College in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
You look like alpha material.
Okay.
Like legit. The way you carry yourself, you look. Because the alpha, they were pristine looking guys and everything. Omegas, you have about 15 tattoos on you right now.
No stereotypes. No stereotypes.
If you're a Q dog, you probably have the Omega sign on you, whatever, and if you're a couple, you're a little bit more, but dude, I swear to God, I thought alpha. That's why I asked you.
Hey, I'm out saying, well, so in the world of, the fraternities and the sororities, yes, there is, people who kind of quote unquote fit a mold or anything like that. But yeah, no, it was one of those things, my junior year, and I went to a small school. Truman is not super huge.
I went to school like 1,800 students.
Yeah, there was only 6,000 students there. And I think
way bigger than mine.
People of color, there were only maybe like 200, and that included international, so people that were coming from, Ballroom or wherever. So yeah, I mean, we had all the organizations down there, but I mean, it was very, very small.
Man, I look at him like, I'm going to ask this question. He was part of my head, and I saw the cause. I'm like, let me see if you pledged, because you just look like alpha, man. Again,
very observant guy, which is key in cycling, being observant.
Exactly. Very important, and also because of my profession. But again, I went to a college where Omega, Alphas, and Kappas was like the main three ones on campus. Then we have the Deltas, the Skiwas, which are the AKAs. The Delta, Sigma. So I knew the culture. I never pledged because again, it just wasn't my culture.
Hey, it's whatever works.
And then I had a couple of friends who pledged, and I saw how their grades fell off, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I couldn't risk it.
It takes, if there's anything that you want in life, it really just comes down to your determination and your focus, whatever that may be. You know,
Yeah.
so whether that's your education, whether that's, a job that you want to start, a company that you want to start. I've been out of corporate for 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I left in 2012, and sometimes I still think I'm insane. I'm like, dude, what in the world is going on? But it was one of those things like, hey, I had a thought, I had a dream. So it's like whatever it is that you want to do. Cycling to lose weight. I did that during COVID. I literally was supposed to come out of retirement that year, and then COVID happens, and I went from I was like, well, I'm still going to do it. I dropped from 218 to 178, like while everybody else is like gaining 15 pounds, like during COVID. But it was like, hey, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. But which is fair enough. So if you've been, bike messaging, you start riding a bike. So what kind of racing you do specifically?
Got it. So over my career, so I raced really hard for 5 years, which is what I usually say. Unless you're like a junior, you might do a little bit longer, because life is going to come up. Injuries happen. Things get in the way. I raced really hard for 5 years, so from 2007 to 2012, when I decided that I was going to head up the company like full time. My specific disciplines. I was a crit monster through and through. I'm going to say the more technical the crit, I'm going to say the better. My very first race was a road race up in Wisconsin called Cirque du Soleil, which was AKA Baraboo. I remember being in that race. I was just like, yeah, nah, Tour de France was not in my history because I am not a climber. Like, they warned me when we were in the parking lot, dude. Like, they were just like, hey, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but
a lot of climbing.
There's we're going to go about a mile. That first right turn, when we turn, I'm like, it's a climb. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So we're riding down, got the pace car up in front. I see everything going. I see this line, and I turn and look, and I'm like, because you can see where the road's going. I was like, this is going. And Leonard, who we actually smoked, one of our first, 3 states, he was like, just keep on as long as you can or whatever. And if you slide back, then I'll eventually cut up. And I remember the way that I like to explain it was, when you're on a road trip, you're on the highway, and it's like 1 lane blacktop or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it goes and it turns into 2. And it's got that little sign that says slower traffic, keep left, keep right. And you're all going up. That's what we were climbing, because it literally was go. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. So not a road racer with regards to climbs, but crits, road. I'm not a good breakaway artist. I'm a sprinter. So that led me into TTs to try and become better and stronger on being able to get in a break or sustain high power, high watts for long durations. Here in Chicago, we are fortunate, Indiana with Major Taylor and St. Louis with Mr. Bumpy Face. We have a track, so Northbrook Park District, the velodrome up there. So I race track, no cyclocross, no mountain, even though we do have Palos, which is, good track out, for Palos. So
I mean, I know you kind of mentioned these little things to me, like you did track and Robert and Chris, but I had no idea you went this deep into it for 5 years of pushing yourself. So what category were you when I
retired?
Yeah, when you retired. What's the highest category been when you were
So I still technically am, even though, and no offense, I race like a 7. I'm just playing. I said, but I'm a Cat 3. So I'm a Cat 3 road, Cat 3 track.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hard stuff. I'm still Cat 6.
I'm about to say, no, you're fine. you're gold star number 1 to me.
Yeah, because I don't, I don't race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just ride my bike and have fun with everybody in town. But that's pretty that's solid. Cat 3, man. That is solid.
Yeah, so I rode Cat 5 for 2 years until people started calling me a sandbagger. I'm like, dude, I'm not winning any races. They're like, but you've done more than 10 races here. You know how to ride a bike.
But no, it's automatic. If you ride, they'll just catch you up anyway. And if you don't catch up yourself,
then people
will be like, hey, Jared,
you need to catch up. I was like, y'all just want me out. I'm gonna say I'm still not winning. And so I rode 2 years Cat 5, then 2 years Cat 4. And I finally figured out how to win, well, I won't say win, because I think the only race that I ever won was something at the track because somebody had a mechanical and I just happened to be second, when it happened.
You won.
Right. A win is a win. That's how we take it.
A win is a win, and I'm in this biking group. I have one rule in the biking group: never let the truth ruin a good story.
I'll say
You won.
I won. So, but I figured out how to consistently place, within the top 3 during field sprints, just because I got the mechanics down. And then I catted up to Cat 3, and then it was like, yeah, this is a whole nother ball game, dude. I'm like, this is like breakaway land. I'm like,
and in those days, you like in 2007, you were like what, in your 30s?
So I started right. So as I mentioned, I kind of like found cycling racing, like later. So I actually literally started when I was 30. So now this will be 18 years later. Yes, I'm 48.
But it would have been, I've seen a lot of these, like myself too, and I never started biking until I was close to 40.
Okay.
But I was a runner before.
Mm-hmm.
So I started biking when I was like 39, I think.
Okay.
So I've been able to bike for like 5 years now.
Okay.
So I'm all new to this stuff, but I'm bringing my running fitness to cycling. But yeah, so I always think that what if I started biking earlier? Like I see like Bahadi and those guys. I'm like,
yeah.
What if I see like even Steven. I'm going back on his last name now, but like those guys been biking, went to Europe. I'm like, what if I didn't done that? If you and I did that when we were much younger.
I'm gonna say I think about it, but the reality of it is that you find a sport when it finds you. And that's one of the things. So cycling is such a dichotomy when it comes to the existence of, the participants. You have everything from, a $400 bike to somebody who's riding a $9,000,
or
bike,
15
or whatever, you have, I've ridden with people where like their bike was their sole, means of transportation. And I've had people pull up in like Audi R8s, what I'm saying, with like bikes on the top. You have people that are very nice people and humble people, and you have people that are not so nice.
That's a Gaussian distribution, right?
Yeah.
You have like the bell curve, and you have like some bad people here and bad people upper lower limit.
And then you have a bunch of cool people, kind of.
In general, Chicago people are very, very nice here.
Yeah. So, but where I was kind of going with it is just that, you find cycling also is a sport where it can be very cost prohibitive. So I've liked over the course of time, like, Cut and Crew and the Track Cats and, Blackstone Bicycle Works and, Westtown Bicycles and all these different places, like, all these different people that work to like introduce the sport of cycling to younger kids. Because the reality is that the sport is not something that is readily promoted in areas where you're going to have experience or exposure to other sports. So for example, in high school, I knew there was football. I knew there was basketball. I knew there was cycling.
There was cycling. I had no idea.
But I'm like, outside of seeing the tour on TV, once a year, you're just like, wait, so what's cycling? How do you even get into cycling? Now being in the sport, colleges like Marion, and, the Little 500 at Indy and things like that. You're just like, okay, but cycling can just be very cost prohibitive, to get into.
So I was having a conversation recently with Patrick about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were exposed to, again, in America, basketball, football,
baseball, soccer, maybe.
Mm-hmm. If you're like in the Latin areas, you get soccer,
mm-hmm.
but here, no. And then it's for a lot of people, it's ways of a means where, if you play this sport, basketball, football, you can rise up and elevate yourself
mm-hmm.
financially.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the same thing for cycling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Bahadi and all
mm-hmm.
these other guys, and they found a way to make it work for themselves. But you're right, a bike is not cheap.
Right.
It can be inexpensive if you can find the right people to help you to build up stuff. And I would be so amazed if I can start getting some younger kids
mm-hmm.
into cycling and find a way to get some amazing clinic, because there's some strong kids out there.
Oh yeah.
But it just need to start earlier and understand dynamics of the sport, understand about nutrition, about, simple things as cadence,
mm-hmm.
different types of bike. Is it endurance? Is it climbing bike? Is it the air bike? Like, we need to have stuff like those. And I think if you can break that niche and find a way to make biking a little bit less expensive,
mm-hmm.
America can be the next big thing. And I think Henkepi is going to start like having a Tour de France level team. So they want to start building up things. And again, you know,
Pipeline, yeah.
we had the Lance Armstrong era,
Mhm.
and we see the guy now that with his fancy mustache and we're killing Tour de France and all these other guys. So I hope now maybe what we're doing here, now,
Mhm.
conversating, it can actually say, hey, let's start investing back. And I know we're gonna get into this, but I know I always call it, you know, we used to have these amazing races back in the days, a lot of quick races every weekends, but then
Mhm.
what happened? Urbanization took away the courses with neighborhoods.
There are so many different dynamics between
Right.
what cycling was, and everybody's always like, back in my day, you know,
Exactly.
but what cycling was and what cycling is now. There's just so many different variables that have gone into changing it or altering it. And I won't
Exactly.
say it's worse, you know, it's just different.
Fair enough. Fair
Mhm.
enough. Where one thing fell apart, now you see now we have more cyclocross racing, right?
Mhm.
When it gets cold, people are actually more investing in more gravel, and people are doing all these different things. So to adapt.
E-bikes,
E-bikes,
indoor.
exactly.
Yeah, you know,
we
there's
can go on a trainer. So there's a lot of things that people. But I think there is a lot of potential in the US, but there's nothing that's really helping to develop these athletes. And again, there's also a lot of you know, still there's some segregation that goes on and affordability with all these
there's
different things.
social things, there's
Social
political things that are
things.
going on right now. There's things
Exactly.
with the NGOs, you know, there's all type of things going on. Like if you think about it, you're like, okay, well, what presence does the US have, you know, on the world stage in comparison to 10 years ago or comparison to, but once again, things are different.
Yeah.
Hate them or love them, completely up to you. But the era in which Armstrong was performing in, you know, so whether it was Postal or Discovery, there was HTC High Road, there was, you know, BMC, there was Garmin, there was just this interest. To this day, the most derogatory thing I am ever going to get called on the bike by somebody who does not know anything about cycling riding through the neighborhood is, "What's up, Lance?" And you're just like, dude, for real, like I don't even look like Lance.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's not all they know.
But see, but that was the thing.
That's all they
It
know.
was so like prevalent at that point in time that it was like, hey, you know, this is cycling. And like I said, now, you know, you have EF, but you know what I'm saying? You don't have 4 or 5, you know, US based teams, you know, sending riders to, you know, tour level, you know, or pro level.
Yeah, call me Gourmet, call me Bahati.
Right.
Call
You
me,
know?
hey, what's up, Justin? What's up, Corey? But Lance? Come on, man.
I'm about to say, dude, they don't even know. Some people don't even know who Bahati is. I'm about to say, shout out to you.
Yeah, I have a story with Shandi, but we can talk about it afterwards. But I see your point. And I really hope we can get to that level one day, and we'll just keep on doing what we're doing and highlighting cycling. And hopefully, there's a lot of people doing, again, a lot of things in the background. And I'm always calling out Triple X that you need to bring back some road racing, because when you go in the Western Illinois, in the Driftless region, man, there's some amazing roads. And if we can get like racing, this up tour of California, then Chicago, Illinois, we have some amazing roads out in Elizabeth, Galena, in that region. Bring back road racing, man.
I'll say so because I've been doing this for so long and I have so many different perspectives on so many different sides of it. So Triple X hosted Galena for
that's what I'm saying.
4 years. But just like we were talking about Montrose, you know, being canceled, and it's completely a weather related thing.
Yes, I saw
it's
that.
completely a weather related thing. But you know what I'm saying? For you to have volunteers that are freely giving up their time, because cycling is also a unique sport that is not like other pro level sports. You know, nobody is paying $20 to go to a stadium and have a ticket to sit in a, you know, heated arena. You know, we're outside, you know, cheering on the side of the road, you know, at our favorite, you know, favorite athletes. But, you know, you got volunteers, you know, who are trying to, you know, do things. You have the officials crew, you have the host organization, and then who's paying for all that. So it's either the sponsors or you as your entry fee. Right. It can just be kind of, you know, hard. And Galena was a challenge in the sense that it's not close.
Right. So location is also,
yeah, you know, so you want a moto. I'm literally taking my bike from Chicago to what's his face, you know, 2 hours, you know.
I know that's one limiting thing to, you know, where people are going to stay and everything. But again, with the booming Airbnb and stuff like that, maybe we can figure out to partner with Airbnb locations and figure out something. But man, we need to get
road's not dead.
Yeah, Road's not,
Road's not dead.
Road's not dead. That's an amazing podcasting platform of people, and it's awesome. You can learn many things. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you ride a triplex. So what's your role in triplex? And let's get into like I know you're part of our favorite event with triplex. You can start talking about that one too.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I said, I started racing in 2007. I raced from 2007 to 12 pretty hard. And I primarily road race for fitness reasons. Okay. So I am not the smallest individual in the world. I am an emotional eater. So every off season when I get off the bike, it's like, hey, I need to lose weight. And you know what a guy at the gym told me? He says, well, stop finding it. I said, well, yeah, I need to stop finding it. So like right now, I saw a number on the scale on Sunday. I was like, yep, base mile start tomorrow. I said, because I am not tipping over that number again. But primarily, for fitness reasons, and then I'm not ultra competitive, but like most cyclists, I am somewhat competitive.
We all are.
Yeah.
It's all,
so
we have testosterone.
Yeah. So it was just one of those, hey, I wanted to test the waters. And then when you kind of get in there, you're just like, oh, okay, well, and I am a racer. Okay. So we all fall in love with the bike for different reasons. Some people like to do, centuries. Some people like to do group rides. Some people like to do, Grand Fondos, whatever it may be. I'm a racer. That's just my mentality. I like it. I love it. I love the thrill. I love the competition of it. So that's how it kind of, started. And I'm also very stubborn. So I just kept on going and renewing my membership. So 2012, I quote unquote retired from road. So I raced basically exclusively up at Northbrook. So I never stopped. The only 2 years I didn't race were 2024 COVID and then 21 because at the track racing came back, but it wasn't mass start.
Gotcha.
So what it was like timed events, and I don't really like timed events, so I didn't race for those 2 seasons, but then after that, it was back to, being at the track. Then 2020 was the year that I was supposed to come out of retirement, and go back to road. We all know what happened with that. But then the story behind that was I just used it to drop 40 pounds and create some crazy videos on YouTube. And then 24, I actually did come out of retirement. So I went and signed up for just a small handful of races. I was mostly doing TTs, but I did do a couple of the grit races.
Oh, you did grit. Okay.
I did a handful of them
on the Chicago on a triplets band.
Yeah. I'm about to say I did a couple of them, and then I quickly realized that my mind still thinks I'm like 20 something, 30 something, but there are people who are actually 20 something and 30 something,
and the body was like,
they're fast and strong. But it gave me the insight to know what I wanted to go and work on the off season. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go back in the pool. I'm going to work on endurance. So I'm going to do that. I'm not a runner, but I do run. I was like, hey, I'll do that off season. Really, basically, it was high end cardio endurance and strength. So I was like, all right, I need to get back to squatting 400.
Yeah. So again, this is something I the year is almost over. So now I have a goal of just hitting X number of miles for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I need to upgrade my bikes on Strava so they can be faster, more aero. So that's my goal for the year.
The king of all Strava,
but then I think in January I'm gonna start doing more. Probably before that, start doing more weights, more squats, because I think I need more leg power. I mean, my leg power is okay, but I think I need to.
He's under playing it down like a lot. No, I've been behind this guy.
At my age, I need to start incorporating more because I've never done that stuff before.
Okay.
Because my rule is like I don't lift weights because you're heavy, so I never do weights. But I realize, maybe if I start doing weights, I might be a little bit better than what I am now. So as a scientist, I want to experiment with doing more weights and lifting a little bit, work on my core. And I found this thing what I do now when I'm on the trainer. I get off my saddle and I sit up and I just literally just bike and just work on my abs.
Okay.
And just kind of do a little different, So anyway, so let's see if it pays off next year.
Yeah, it'll pay off
when it's outdoor season again. And everybody's like coming out ripping like insanity. So, but yeah, it's I want to start incorporating. I might do a training plan. As I said before, I don't really train because if I train, I won't see my friends, and I like people.
Mhm.
So I just never train. I just literally ride my bike at whatever the group's going to do. I just like, all right, whatever it is, I'm going to do that.
Hey, I'm gonna say you find your niche and to each their own.
Exactly.
Whatever works for you, and don't ever let anybody peer pressure you into saying something different.
That's right. but we're going to peer pressure you. You say, I'm going to only go over 50 miles. I'm like, yeah, you can do 75. 75 like, yeah, let's do 100. We're almost there. Come on, let's go. You know? So
sometimes people self-select. So like you were kind of alluding to being on the so you were alluding to me giving somebody some food on a ride. So we kind of glossed over that. So yeah, so Triple X annually since about 2010. So one of the things that drew me to Triple X back when I was looking for a team is that they are a development squad. So they were focused on getting new riders into racing and understanding racing. And they had a coach. So at that time it was Randy Warren. Chris Navin is the coach now. Randy's still involved. But they were all different type of things on getting you to understand nutrition and, training plans and periodization and, all this off bike work and on bike work. They have a camp out in San Luis Obispo every year.
Yes.
So, we'll talk about highlights. That was a highlight for me one year, was getting my weight down enough to go and ride mountains, literally no joke, mountains in California. And I was like, dude, you think I'm a sprinter? Like, there's no way. But Randy started the 3 states ride in honorarium of Eric Spratling. So Triple X was founded by a group of messengers, most notably Marcus Moore, who owns Yojimbo's Cycles. So Yojimbo's is Clybourne is where it was. He's at the moment looking for a new place because the neighborhood has changed and he's losing his lease. But so shout out to Marcus and Yojimbo's. But Marcus, Patrick, Benjamin, and a bunch of other messengers started the impetus of Triple X. So what it was, you've got this elite group of cyclists in the city of Chicago, and then you have the messenger world. And messengers are just as competitive as anybody else. And they're like, dude, we're fast too. So Marcus did a pool after doing a race up in Toronto, the messenger World Cycling Championship or something like that. And they were like, hey, what do you think that, the messenger crowd would be interested in, racing or not?
Wow.
So they took a poll, had a meeting, and that's kind of how it started. So that was back in 99. One of the messengers there was Eric Spratling. So Eric at that time was in his 40s. So he was kind of quote unquote winding down his racing career. He actually raced for a team called True Value. So True Value was a team in the 90s. And he was on that team. And so he would be kind of like me. He was like, not entry level, but he wasn't like a 1 or a 2 or anything like that. And Eric was a distance rider, and Eric was African American. So Eric was known for doing they used to have these things called 24-hour TTs out in Charles Mound, where it was riding for 24 hours, or something like that. There are fabled stories of Eric riding miles to races, doing really well, first or second, and riding home. But one of the things that a lot of cyclists in some of the Triple X routes still follow that, North Shore, is that Eric would ride up in the North Shore area. So, Highland Park and up to Wisco and, things like that. And one of the things that it was, stated is he would see people during the week, messengers are riding around and like, hey, Omar, what you doing Saturday? Want to go for a ride? And they would caravan around and pick up different people up, and they would go and ride up, and then they would ride back. So that was actually how Omar and I actually first spoke.
Yeah.
Was because it wasn't the one from 25. I want to say it was the one from 24.
Yeah, 24.
We were on the annual 3 states ride. And every time that ride comes up that I'm available to do it, I love doing it. Because yes, while I'm a sprinter, I'm also I'm a diesel long distance rider. It's not about being fast, but it's just kind of like Energizer Bunny. Put the battery in, just let them go. It's all right. So it's not uncommon, going back to the whole thing about the giving my food away. I can ride 70 miles stone empty. like no food, no liquid or anything like that, and I'll be okay. So when you were like, dude, why are you giving your food away? I was like, she needs it more than me. I'll be able to make it to, the gas station. Plus, I had already eaten about 1,000 calories before I started the day because I know my fueling. I know what I need to do to be able to do
because didn't you not posted like a spreadsheet one time in the triplex group about
it wasn't actually me. It was I want to say it was Tom Dorsher. Yeah. He posted like his nutrition thing, which it's fine. The more you do things, the more informed you are. So the longer you've been racing, the more you learn like race tactics. The more you like do endurance rides, the more you learn like what your limit is and what it isn't. And finding your limit is so fun. It's like I went and I rode and I like bonked or whatever. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do differently next time?
Well, he did, and he did a spreadsheet of every 45
and this time
minutes.
he was only, I feel kind of bad, but he was only 10 miles from actually being able to make the full 3 states. And that's been one of his goals is, he's made it further and further every single time. And for me, I've had times in the first 60 miles, I'm like, dude, this is not going to work. Like, I'm just not, it's not today. My body is not liking me. But thankfully for this last one that we did, I felt good and I was able to make it with the group, all the way down to, the third state. Because I'm going to finish the ride regardless if I'm by myself or and I get dropped or anything like that. But that's another thing too, is that cycling is one of those sports and activities where you can build camaraderie with somebody
for sure,
you maybe never knew, or somebody you may not interact with on a normal basis.
Lots of those guys are on the triplex, right? I've never like spoken to them. We're in the same groups and different things, but it's like when you go in a triplex, right, and you see, people have a flat and we all stop and they're like, oh wow, you didn't? Oh, of course, I'll change a tire. I'm probably better than.
I got an extra tube. Yeah,
that's true, baby. Like that's one of the most amazing things. Like with like group rides
mm-hmm.
and the long ride. I mean, people are like giving away food, giving away inner tubes. We stopped to buy at the gas station. One person will buy everybody all the game.
Yeah, a whole thing of jug of water. It's like, hey, you want some water?
Just have it.
Yeah.
So that's again another beautiful thing about the triplex ride. If you want to buy 3 states in one day,
mm-hmm.
you come on that ride, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I did it last year. I didn't finish because I come back to my kids. But this year, I'm gonna do everything, and it was the most majestical ride I've ever been on. It was just so cool.
Yeah, I must say it was good, and like I said, it was good. It was good having you like down there, take the last picture or whatever. It's like, all right, cool. I'm bailing. I only got 8 miles to go back this way. I'm not going north.
And I'm like, I got still 25 miles to go. But the 150 miles was worth it.
Yeah.
Down to a T. And the good thing before that the 150 ride, I did a 170 mile solo bike ride from here all the way back to the Mississippi. So I was actually, and I only did that ride. My first stop was at about 120 miles.
Okay.
And it only took me 3 bottles of water to that in the 170 miles. 10 hours, man.
That's insane.
So I was.
But see, apparently he knows his limits.
Yeah. I've been pushing my limits for quite some time,
mm-hmm.
and I still don't know what my limit is.
Well, that's the thing is that you always want to just keep flirting with it until you find it. And even then, it's probably not your limit. It's just the limit that you have at that point.
Moment. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, one of the toughest rides, not ride, but section I've ever been on. But if you ever do Renzenite ride,
mm-hmm.
We go through Norbrook and then we go up Waukegan and then we do that road right there. That's probably one of the most challenging segment on any ride because all those little small boys come to the front,
mm-hmm.
and it's a mega show.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's having I'm a heavier guy,
mm-hmm.
so I got to keep up with those guys all the way back to. If I can make it Sunset, I'm okay. But that's one of the most challenging sections. So I need to work on that for next year because, woo.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I said,
joke.
But it's like there's always going to be something challenging. That's just the fun in cycling. Like so, even for me, so for the whole thing is so like with Eric being on Triple X, an African American. Similar to me, or at least in my mind, similar to me in that, he's an endurance rider, he can do all this other stuff. So one time, and this is, I'm sure it's been done multiple times since then, but at that time, I couldn't find it. And I was like, hey, so I've done this 3-stage ride, a couple of times now. I said, I wonder if anybody has ever done 4, and I was like, I'm looking around, Strava didn't exist, but you're looking on Garmin Connect and I don't see anything. I was like, okay. So 2012, and it's out on our blog somewhere. It's a post like 212 miles in one day. So I literally started. So I was out southeast. So I started in Illinois, shot across. It took me only 7 miles to make it to Indiana. So then I have state number 2. And then you take the long trek over to Michigan, ride into Michiana. It's Michigan and Indiana. Super picturesque. Like the street, I can't remember. I think it's like Lakeshore. It literally looks like you're like in Venice Beach or something like that. Like the seashore is like, it's the lake, but it's the lake is on one side. There's a beach on one side. And then you got all these like little like, seaside like cottages like on the opposite side. So rode that, and then you turn around, you got to ride back. So round trip back to Illinois was 100. And then I'm straight shot up to Kenosha, touch the border, and then come back. So that's 64 each way. So it was 212. Now the problem is that, so I come up with this grandiose plan, and I was like, all right, and somebody was supposed to be there with me. It wasn't just supposed to be just me. I must say.
It's a solo mission.
No, it wasn't supposed to be. Key, it was supposed to be. So what ends up happening is like, I start, and then I'm calling or texting the person who's supposed to, and he was like, oh, well, hey, I'll meet you when you get back to, I think it was like Hollywood or something like that. I was like, okay, fine. So when I hit back to Illinois, I stopped at the house because it's literally right there on the lake. So I went, ate a pasta, lunch or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm fueled back up. Let me head back north. And leaving the house was kind of hard.
Of course. I'm home. Everything
and then like my body did not really want to do the rest. It hurt. It really, really hurt. I remember I made it up to Kenosha, I turned around, and Eric Diddy from Triple X, he's texting me. I said, hey, I just made it to Wisconsin. He's like, all right, cool. He's like, how far you got back? I said 64. I said, I'm about to stop at a Subway and eat. So I ate and then got back on the bike, and everything on my body was hurting. I got bad knees. This is why I cycle versus run. I got bad knees. My knee was just acting up, and I remember literally sitting at the Shed Aquarium on the stairs. Like, dude, I only got 10 miles to go. Like, seriously, like,
phone home.
Like, can I please? I'm up in the North Shore, the Metro. Remember we were riding past, the naval base.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, guess what? Like, here's a path. I was like, no, that's the train. I was like, that was the way home. I was like, I'm gonna sit here and catch the train and go home. But Diddy and everybody else, I made it through. So I did that solo, 214 miles, 4 states.
That's pretty awesome.
And I've yet to do it again. Because I was that traumatized. I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I'm good.
Some of these experiences they're like I'm doing it one time and that is it. I'm not doing it. My list is to do an Ironman, maybe Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I do it one, I'm good.
No gotcha.
I'm straight.
Yeah.
But again, you have to push yourself a little bit to kind of figure out and know what can I do. You made these personal goals for your own sanity. Kind of a bit crazy, but we made these little goals and we achieved them. We're like, all right, I'm good to go.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe one day,
But I have the 4 states on my radar, though. I have it. Maybe the triple X ride, but you say when you guys stop, I just keep on going and go up and then come back down.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be like about, I think, close to 200 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It should be all right.
Yeah. Well, so maybe I can be convinced. I don't know if I can be convinced with him, mostly because he's super strong. But needless to say, maybe I can be convinced to do it one more time.
Yeah. So you brought this book, and we spoke about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell? You can show the page and explain.
Of course we can.
Yeah. So why do you bring this book?
All right. So kind of going back to the whole thing about how I met Omar. So we were on the 3 states ride. And I remember vividly, we were kind of sitting, we were at a gas station. It was a refuel stop. And, Omar and I are just like chatting. And he's like, oh yeah, because Omar was also pulling. Okay. And he's like, hey, I've done plenty of centuries before. I'm like, it's not that type of century. I'm like, it's not just 100 miles. So like, it kind of means a little bit something different than that. And once again, because I'd done, the 4 states ride, I have a very special place in my heart for Eric, and just what he stood for the team and, what he kind of did. So once again, this book is called The Immortal Class. It was Bike Messengers and the Cult of Human Power. And it's by a guy named Travis Cully. There's a little bit of controversy surrounding this book, and, Travis wasn't in the messenger culture, et cetera. But it's a very good book that it talks about like bike messengers and racing and, just the bike messenger culture, et cetera. And there's one particular chapter in here that is dedicated to a style of racing that really doesn't exist anymore, called alley cats. So Chicago is known for multiple different things, in terms, we are a biking city, shout out to, the previous Mayor Daley, and building the bike lanes and making everything so accessible, protected bike lanes, and, Mayor Johnson and everybody else, all their reinvestment. Chicago really is a bike city. It's really accessible, and, you can commute and get to wherever you need to go. But this was an era where it was, unsanctioned racing. So sanctioned racing is, USA Cycling or,
Right.
ABR or anything like that. But there used to be things where it just be like, hey, guess what? We're going to meet up at Buckingham Fountain, and, we're going to do an alley cat, the Tour de Chicago, all these different races that exist in my psyche, were from this era. So I wanted to make sure I brought the book, because when Omar and I were talking, I was like, I just wanted to kind of highlight, one of the things, like Eric, the longer you do things and the more the history passes, the more those things get lost to the sand of time. And it's like, this is a memorial to all the things that had happened when it was written. And there's just one kind of, section. So it's about an alley cat race. And it's just, on Sacramento, the challenge was to maximize rest. This meant staying away from the front as much as possible, sometimes exhausting the leader by refusing to pass. Don't take a pull. Occasionally, the leader would have to swerve out of front position so they could find shelter from the wind behind someone else. Drafting. No, not Bobcat. When he was out in front, he was tireless, Omar. But you had to watch him closely. He would swerve to shake the next rider from behind him or swing the group into potholes. We began to slow our pace to preserve energy. Then suddenly, coming out from the back, Eric Sprackling rocketed ahead. As he flew past me, going at least 28 miles per hour, he glanced over and said, "Thought I'd change the pace." He had hardly broken a sweat. Panic set in, and we all stood up on our pedals to catch him. I was out of breath. My legs felt like they were ripping, but I managed to keep the pace with the group. By the time we caught Eric, we were rolling into the entrance of Humboldt Park, and then they talk about the course and how, it went there. It was completely like uncharted. It was basically like, hey, guess what? Alley cats were like messenger type races, so they were like checkpoints. So you would go and it's like, hey, you need to go to, Michigan and such, and, get your manifest like checked off. And now you're going to go over to, this and this and get your manifest checked off. But realistically, it was just, you were riding to different waypoints, and then whoever made it back fast. And sometimes it was you had to take a certain route, and then sometimes you could self-navigate, So it's like, okay, you have to go down Milwaukee, or you have to go from Hollywood to Balbo, like, on on the lakefront. And it's like, there's no way that we can have a race on the lakefront, and make this work.
I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah. So, once again, so I also, one of my roles on Triple X is I'm the de facto historian. I didn't give myself the title. It's more so, but I have done various history projects, for the team. So the last one was around 2012 when we were just out of the 10-year anniversary. I spoke to Marcus, so I know Marcus. I went to, the shop and got some of the history and talked about some of the different things, and we memorialized it. And then most recently, when Triple X redid its website, there's pieces of it there's a post there now about like the whole entire history of the team.
Wow. Gotcha.
But that was me, like, getting the pieces and making sure, because the thing is that as old timers like me and younger races come behind, and that thing is just kind of like it's disconnected and lost.
Yeah, there's a class of knowledge on it.
You lose the history of like, what races used to exist and what people used to do, and, how do you draft, or how do you, like force somebody around? So,
well, you said alley cat race?
Yeah, so it was those type of races were called alley cats. Yeah. So
I am new to this. I didn't know that there was a thing. I mean, I hear it about alley cat, and what come to mind is because it's a runner, is the Barkley Marathon. And I heard about Barkley, almost nobody ever finished. Same kind of principle. You have to run and pick up pieces of a book, and then and then come back, and the person will come back. Most on this race, almost nobody finishes the race.
Gotcha.
I think they had the first female finisher a few years ago, and that's it.
Okay.
History of the race. Like literally, most people never finish this race.
Yeah. No. So,
but that's pretty cool. I like the idea. I mean, I think I've gone running when I was in Miami, and we did like scavenger hunting, which is kind of similar idea.
Yeah.
I like this. Maybe one day I will experiment with something.
Hey, I'm saying
pick up something in Island Park, go pick up something in like somewhere west, and then come back and blah blah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
the route don't matter, but the GPS, it has to show on whatever it means to get your piece of paper.
That's what you got to do. But yeah, so no, the racing culture, in Chicago has been, long, deep, and varied. So yeah, no, just wanted to make sure that I brought it with me, so I could share that too, and then also, talk with the real words of, Eric, of a person who was like, a phenomenal rider and somebody, who I really kind of like secretly and not so secretly try and emulate a lot, because he was a heck of a distance rider.
Wow, amazing. All right, so how many bikes do you have?
N+1.
N+1. I like it.
No, actually, so I've got 6 total, 2 of which are not really functional; they're just at the house. But yeah, I've got my last messenger bike. I've got my first race bike, which was a Trek 1500. I've got my last race bike and current race bike, which is a Focus Kaio. I've got my track bike, which is a Fuji Obey. I like that one because it's black and gold. So I got gold anodized handlebars and gold accents.
Yeah, it's because he's an alpha.
Yeah, I don't know why the bike came like that. I'm not saying, I thought it was just sexy. But I've got the Fuji Obey. I've got a Look, I think like 456 or 459, something like that. That's my time trial bike. And then I've got my current trainer beat up, kill it bike, which is just a specialized
you do workout on trainer road, or you do Zwift, mainly Zwifting, or?
So I am not necessarily a Zwift person. Right now I use Wahoo. Mm-hmm. So I'm on it used to be Wahoo RGT, but now there's like I can't even remember what.
Ruby? Is it Ruby?
No, it's not Ruby. I'm about to say I'll pull it back up. I can't remember. I literally was just on it like yesterday. I'm about to say, but it's been a minute.
Come on, Zwift, man, so we can all ride together. So because Navin, that's his name. He does Zwift.
Oh yeah, I mean, I see all the information for it.
I've never been in. I told him I'm being on, but it's like the time was always off, and they ride like 25 miles, but I want like 60 to 80 miles. So it's like, but I'm gonna join his ride.
Trainer is kind of hard, I must say, but like I said, it's the Wahoo system or whatever, the one that I'm on. Like I said, it completely escapes my mind. I must say, this is what happens when you get old. Is that it's so. With some of the platforms, it's more of like gamification, and then other ones like the one that you just mentioned,
Zwift,
not Zwift, but the other one,
Ruby,
yeah,
Trainer Rod,
right? Where it's more so just like actual like trainer based type activities and stuff like that, instead of like getting like in the draft and like, oh, I can go sprint like 5,000 miles an hour. It's like, dude, that's really not the way it works. Yeah, so this one is more so just like I use it for like workouts, so that I can, work in the off season and stay consistent and, knock the miles out. I hate the trainer, but it's a unfortunate necessary evil being a cyclist in Chicago. Like if you're going to work to, have fun during the summer and race or train, you got to do something.
Or just to be able to keep up with the groups that you bike with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better than staying in the sofa all winter
long.
So I am on my trainer all the time. Plus, there's a lot of social aspect to the trainer, and there's like different challenges. There's a bunch of different routes. I've done all the available routes on Zwift.
Okay.
Longest route took me over 6 hours to bike.
Okay.
Didn't get off the trainer for 6 hours.
That's crazy. I think I think old school before smart trainers, I think the longest I ever did was like 4. I was like, why? But yeah.
But the why makes sense when you have that fitness that comes with it. And this, it takes a lot of, I mean, you can tell, for a sprinter and you're doing endurance, right? Your mental aspect is very important too, because when you're sprinting, everybody's hurting. And you're like, you know what? You're hurting, I'm hurting, let's see who can hurt the longest. Right? And that's how you win sprints and all this. So again, I do the training so I can get tough. Plus again, at our age, we're back with all these 25-year-old kids and we got to be able to keep up and don't get dropped in all these different things. So.
I used to joke all the time. I said my whole first entire season, I got dropped in every last race I was in. I was DFL every last race, but I never took a DNF. And I constantly got beat by 13-year-olds.
Because they're young.
Because they're 13.
Exactly.
They know one speed. You hear the whistle, it's like, go. And you're like, dude, slow down. They're like, no.
And they're 120 pounds pushing out your watts. I mean, you can't, your watts per kg, FTP is like,
yeah.
don't work the same, but it is what it is. We're still here.
Yes, we're still here.
Some of those kids not riding their bikes
I
anymore.
want to say, yeah. No.
But we're still here. We're still here. So we learned a lot about you from your experience with Triple X, doing all these 200 and something mile ride. He's a taxman, aka, right? So in Chicago, you've been here riding a long time. What's one of your most favorite place to go and ride? If somebody comes to Chicago and says, hey, this is my favorite spot to go ride, what would you recommend?
So one of the things, so being a lifelong Chicagoan, one of the things that I often say is that if you grow up here, you get jaded. If you live in any of the three largest metros, Chicago, New York, LA, you get jaded until you go away. You go to a town like 6,000 people or whatever, and you're like, where's the train? And they're like, the Amtrak? You're like, no, the L. They're like, where are you from? You're like, Chicago. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, okay. This is before, Ubers and Lyfts. You call the cab and like a Crown Vic pulls up and it's got like a sign on the side that says D&D cab. You're like, dude, there's no meter in here. You're like, how much is this cab ride going to cost? They're like, $2. I'm like, $2 where? They're like, anywhere. I'm like, we are not in Chicago. Okay. You get perspective of cycling in other places and other cities and, other environments. If somebody is coming to Chicago and they're going to say like, hey, where am I going to ride? Where should I ride? Hands down, iconically, you need to go and do the Lakefront Trail from top to bottom. Okay. Hands down. You need to take it all the way up from, Hollywood or wherever it is and go all the way out south, just simply because it is so picturesque. And now, so we moved after COVID. So now I'm west. Okay. So my riding experience is completely different. I literally used to be able to walk a block, hit the path, go up, come back. That's like 36 miles. Okay. Uninterrupted for the most part. Now we got the flyover, that's at Navy Pier, you literally could just ride uninterrupted. And that's a challenge, like being in a big city, like, you want to go ride and you're like, where can I ride uninterrupted? I'm just talking about riding. I'm not even talking about training. If you just want to go ride and like not almost kill yourself like every other time that you're out on the bike because, cars don't pay attention or, people don't pay attention or somebody's walking across the crosswalk on their cell phone, not paying attention. The path is just good. Second to that, I would say any paths that are in the Chicago network, whether it's forest preserve paths or anything like that. So me particularly now, I ride CalSag a lot, because it's a forest preserve path and it literally has got, good 10-mile stretch that I can run, be uninterrupted. North Shore is mecca to, lots of cycling, Hunt Club, any, you name it, go there.
Hunt Club, again, the last time somebody mentioned Hunt Club, I'm like, man, you know what you're talking about.
Right.
That's my favorite spot, man. Hunt Club, just keep on going.
I'm going to say, you just keep going. I'm going to say, going. You go, you're like, wait, where? Oh, wait, I'm in Wisconsin. Yeah, okay, I guess I can turn back around now. Yeah. Me, because I was Southeast, I was industrial all the time. So I rode through Whiting, East Chicago. I'm about to say going over to Gary. You go through Gary, you then can pick up, the Indiana Dunes. That's some very picturesque, riding over there. There's western suburbs, there's south suburbs, Old Plank Trail. There's Major Taylor runs rides that are out there. South Chicago, Wheelman run rides that are out there. So there's. You name it, you can find it, I'm about to say. But if you are new to Chicago, definitely just hit the path.
Hit the path. Gotcha. So as a cyclist, in Chicago, and maybe something we have to address and ask people, if you don't have any, that's fine. But do you have any like challenges riding in Chicago, whatever challenges? Do you have any challenges there?
Right, being a cyclist in Chicago has many challenges. I say the first challenge, which is like right now, it is December, and there's like 40 feet of snow outside. It's just like, do you want to ride outside? Oh, and I've ridden outside. I've done stupid, crazy stuff. You get these things of bravado. So, what's the most miles you've ridden? 212. Okay, what's the coldest that you've ever ridden in? I rode in -50 wind chill. Oof. I was able to make it to and from work, which was 30 minutes because that's about how long my gear would last and let me like not freeze myself, but,
never -50, but I've gone negative change.
Yeah, no, it was stupid, but it's whatever. It's one of those things, well, I rode a -50. It's like, okay, fine, cool for you. I'm going to say, I'll ride inside. It's nice and warm in here. But the challenges usually are, trying to be able to ride year round and get the level of, intensity that you want. One of the reasons that I don't like trainers is just simply, I've got bad knees, which hurts. So, when the trainer is like trying to ramp up and say, oh, we're going to simulate, you doing a climb or whatever, and it just jacks up the resistance to, like a gajillion. I'm like, dude, if I was pushing 400 watts on the road, I'm like, it won't hurt like this. It's not going to hurt my knees like this, so.
But there's erg mode for that, right?
Yeah, they still do, but it's just different. Okay. It's just different. So I have a love-hate relationship. It's a necessary evil. But the challenges in Chicago is, you've got the different seasons, which is a blessing and a curse. And then even though we do have, the protected bike lanes and the bike lanes and things like that, drivers, I am a driver as well. The mentality of drivers has just changed over time. I think that we as society have changed over time, and just the level of respect that we give to other humans and, things like that is different. It's probably happened more frequently, but it doesn't happen as often because I do ride solo a lot, and I ride in solitude a lot, and I ride these crazy areas where it's just like I'm on a service road behind like BP Whiting or something like that. The only thing that's out there are just like, service trucks that are going in and out of the plant. But yeah, like I've gotten buzzed way more times than I would have cared for. And like, you get buzzed and you're like, hey, what are you doing? And then like the car wants to slow down and be like, hey, what are you? And you're like, okay, I'm on a bike. I was doing a night ride coming back over from Indiana, and I'm over by State Line. I'm coming through, and I'm cheating. I don't ride the way that I should, which most cyclists do. So I'm like in the wrong lane. I'm like on the wrong side of the road, and like turn or whatever. And like there's a car that's turning an intersection. He like comes towards me, and I like kind of like move over. And I'm not cursing or anything like that, but I'm just like, hey, like I'm here or whatever. I got lights on, and he literally like stops the car and was like, hey, blah 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 blah. I was like, yep, back to the messenger days. How fast can I ride this bike and turn and turn and turn and turn and lose and turn and turn and turn? I'm like doing circles around blocks or whatever. I'm like, you're not gonna find where I went. I shut my lights off. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna know where I went. Okay?
I went stealth.
I went stealth. I'm just like, I blacked out. Okay, so I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, I will be like the unbeatable Dodge Charger. You will not find me. Okay, so.
Then the experience that we have biking, it's crazy. I mean, and I get from experience. I've ridden down south, like south, and I've ridden in north, and I can tell you, I find the people down south to be way nicer than the people up north. And I will say that, and I will say it over and over. And I have many friends who have asked, and this is a constant experience. Like biking in South Chicago is way much more better. People are not better, but people are nicer. Mm-hmm. Cars don't do crazy stuff, and they always have questions like, and people wave to you from their Porsches and our verandas, what you call it. Mm-hmm. But here, oh my God, entitlement up north. Oof.
I must say, I think
don't get me started.
I must say, and there's always the north, south, the west, discussions that it's a Chicago thing. I mean, just get used to it.
The certain hospitality exists. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
But yeah, no, I must say I've had experiences in just about everywhere. There's jerks. Unfortunately, no matter where you go. Yeah. But fortunate enough, I've never had any major cycling incidences that were a result of a vehicle. I've got plenty of crashes, I must say, crashes in races, but my most serious crashes never happened in races. They actually happened during training exercises. I must say, got plate, from breaking my wrist.
Oh, I didn't know that. You
broke my wrist. Somebody said broke my collarbone, doing a training thing, so
no more breaking, please.
Those were just training incidences,
We're too old now. Our Wolverine healing up
skills is not as good.
Not as good anymore. We're old Logan right now.
Yeah, I must say it's okay.
So do you work on your bikes yourself, or do you take them to the shop when you have leg problems?
So most of my bikes, so I'm really hard on my equipment. I mean, notoriously hard on my equipment. I'm like the person that doesn't wash his bike for like months on end, But yeah, no, my bikes have usually come from different places. The team has had many shop sponsors over the time. So I've, gone to many a different shop. My shops right now, so my race bikes have come from Village, and then Cozy is where they got my last one, so that's where I mostly service it. I do have the ability to service bikes. I've built bikes up, which I know that you have,
Yeah, I build all my bikes actually.
as well.
I build and service them. I have all the tools to do it.
Yeah, I've got the tools, to do it, but I also don't have a problem, giving my money to the local bike shops to help them, survive and stay around because, without them,
No, yeah, I agree with that. So depending on what I'm doing with my bike,
Mhm.
I'll go to the shop, and both of my nutrition come from different bike shops. So
Mhm.
I'll literally go from like Green Bay Cycle
Mhm.
and work my way to like Wheel and Sprocket, and then
Mhm.
order stuff from other bike shop to spread the love.
Yeah.
But in general, most of my biking problems, I can fix them myself.
Yeah.
because
I mean,
I've learned.
for me, it's,
And I bought the tools from them anyway. So
Oh, okay. It's like, so I did give them some support.
yeah, of course. I like bottom brackets or cassettes and stuff. I just buy from them.
Yeah, that stuff I can do on my own. I'm gonna say I built up bikes. My first experience was with Westtown Bike. So Westtown Bike has a wonderful build a bike program. So I built up. This was back when I was riding. It was like one of my teammates sees me like riding on the lakefront. He was like, "Dude, do you have like a training bike?" I was like, "Yeah, it's this mountain bike." And he was like, "And it's a hardtail, mountain bike." He was like, "Dude, I got a like Schwinn Paramount like frame or whatever at the house or whatever I can give it to you." So I built that bike up. I built up a Cannondale like Cat 6 or something like that. I'm gonna say all my bikes I can work on and I can maintain. But now that I'm just kind of like, older, it's just like, dude, like I don't feel like dealing with my wheels or anything like that. So, it's just like, hey, take it, tune it.
So any of your bikes are tubeless? Yes, you're running tubes.
No, I'm still riding tubes. I'm still riding 23s. I'm still not on disc. I'm still on disc. I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm a dinosaur. But
23.
Hey, so yeah, my bikes won't even accommodate like 28s or anything.
I was saying Jamaica, my youth, you're on 23.
Wow. What's going on, Mom?
No, but I'm telling you. All right, since you say you have knee stuff, please try it. And if you don't like it, we will pay you back. Get a bike that can clear some 28s or 30s, put them on, run low PSI, get back to me.
So that will be the next assignment.
I was not really a believer because, again, from, running 19s, 23s, and I did learn, and I rode some 25s for the longest time. And, learning about contact ratio and pressure and blah, blah, and I changed 28s. I'm not going back. 28s is the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, the Bugatti. It's like everything. But like an 85, 80 pressure, even lower than that, man, I'm telling you, you will be like, wow, I've been missing out.
See, so that's the thing is like,
I was skeptical at first.
Well, no, it's not.
And I tried, I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't I try this before?
It's not even that. It's just that I think that everybody has just like everybody has their own, pedaling style and their pedaling cadence and their preference. They also have their own road feel style. I was always super high PSI. Like my bikes races, I'm the one running like 140, 160 where my wheels can chatter out if I take a curve way too hard, It's just like bumping around or whatever.
No hookless for you.
No, my thing is I'm real big on road feel. Like I like as a sprinter, you want like stiff frames and I want contact. Like I need to feel the road with it. And I just be like, this feels spongy. This feels spongy. I don't know. Wait, am I sprinting? I don't know if I'm sprinting. Whereas with that, you can feel it. But, so maybe on my training bikes, maybe I'll run 28s.
Yeah, but again, let's have a part 2 conversation.
Agreed.
Because again, I've been hearing about these 28s and 30s and whatever, and I thought that bigger is slower and all these different things. And I tried it, and I'm not going back to 25s.
Gotcha.
I have the 25s now, but I'm waiting to kill them all, and then I'm done. No more 25. Like 28, man. Oh my god.
But when I upgrade to disc, I'm gonna say clear out my stable. Then,
you have no disc brake bike. All this rim brake bike you have now.
Yeah, all my bikes are rim brakes, except for the one the track bike.
Well,
ain't got no brakes.
Right. So I'm not gonna defend disc versus rim, but I would say try some bigger tires and see what happens. What size bike do you ride?
So I ride a 56.
56, being around 58. No, 58. Because
the 58 was kind of like chunky for me. It was a little bit, on the hard side.
Because I was about to say, hey, I'll let you borrow one of my bikes, and try it out,
and
let me
then
know,
get back to you.
let me know how you feel, because
Okay.
I'm telling you, people like, what? So you see, you're not riding because it's cold now, so you don't go outside anymore. You're all indoors now.
Right now, I mean, like, so I do have plans to potentially come back and race next year, which from my performance, it's always better when I can go out in the winter and ride, on road. It just helps my fitness. The best seasons that I ever had were seasons where I continued to ride outdoors, like during the winter. Because like I said, it's just kind of hard for me to get in a certain mindset and hit certain numbers, like when I'm bouncing around on the trainer.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, as of right now, yeah, I'm kind of indoor and I'm doing all my off-season stuff.
Well, all right. So this is my word to you. If you don't get this break by next season, I'm gonna loop back with you, and I have a bike that I will fit you, and try the 28s out, and then
come back and report back.
Report.
Fair enough.
You like a bike rover like Patrick Lee.
Fair enough.
All right, guys. Anything you want to leave us before we wrap up? We've been here. We learned so much about you. I mean, we all have some highlights, but what keeps you going, and do you want to leave with something that just blows your mind?
I would just simply say, like I said, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I mean, I keep, the bike is my jam. That's what I prefer. You have to find something that you enjoy and that you love, and that brings you some sanity and some peace. Where I'm not getting any younger, I'll say need to preserve or build up as much muscle mass so that hopefully when I am a senior and an elder, I still got a little bit of muscle that I can still throw my leg over the bike. Because that's the thing, cycling is one of those things that you can continue to do that sport well into your senior years and your golden years, if you treat your body right, and if you continue to turn the pedals. So I would just simply leave you with saying like, hey, go out and ride your bike.
That's so simple, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you made it this far, we heard from the Taxman. That's his nickname, right? And his experience and the contact he has made in helping people out and just being in the network is why we need people like this in Chicago, and why they make Chicago a really great place to be, to bike in. And if you see him on the road, you see him down south, triplex ride, don't be shy. You can say Jared, but hey, I'm going to call him Taxman. that's just have a ring to it, and it makes sense, right? That's what he does. So again, thank you so much for joining. It was a pleasure, brother. Thank you for
being here.
Man.
Thanks, Omar.
It was awesome. So as we end, I will say, guys,